This is the third essay type from your section B. The executive at Stark Incorporated, a plumbing supply manufacturer, recently reviewed production capacity for the upcoming year and set production budgets. Okay, they have started with production budget. That is little questionable. Based on the number of units that they expected to produce. So far what we have read, that the starting of budgeting is based upon your sales forecast or sales budget. But right here, executives have started their budgeting process from production budget. That is something questionable and debatable. How come? Based on the number of units that they expected to produce. Whereas we believe it should be based upon the number of expected units they can sell. So they are producing to sell. So they budgeted sales and set sales targets for each of their retail locations based upon budgeted production. Anyway, they did not ask for the input of the individual store managers. Now that alerts us to a situation that it shows it's a authoritative budgeting. The budget has been imposed from the senior management, and the individual store managers, they were never asked to give their input. So it's executives that are calling the shots. They have drawn up the budgets because they believed that they had sufficient information and they wanted to ensure that the store targets were not easily attainable. So they basically have put a stiff target and they have simply imposed the budget upon the junior management without realizing that maybe the budget might be unattainable. It's an imposed budget, authoritative budget. It's a top-down approach. When the actual sales numbers started to come in, they were much lower than the budget. That was expected because the targets were too stiff that the individual store managers couldn't achieve. So in investigating the variance, the company found that one location had a new competitor that had opened just down the street, and another had significant road construction that impeded the traffic flow and cut down on customers. Now this tells us that we should have consulted our store managers. They would have given us the real picture because they are at the action point. They know what is happening. They can provide us the best information. Despite the risk is there that they might overestimate expenses and understate revenues. That is always there. Padding budgets, or what you call the budgetary slack. The risk of budgetary slack is always there. But despite that, the action point players, the action point individuals, the store managers should have been consulted. That's the drawback I find what we have read so far. There were also some new products on the market that were cutting into the company's market share. Competition is being faced, so this could have been considered as well. Because of the missed sales budget, the company had overproduced, resulting in excess inventory. Now that's the scenario. So the first question we have is, question number 1, explain the role of sales budget in the development of an annual profit plan. You have read, you have your rough paper, you simply jot down the points, what you're going to write. 3 to 4 points would be sufficient. What are you going to write? The foundation of the entire budget. What is the foundation of the entire budget? Sales budget. Objectives of the firms are achieved through sales. That's the foundation. Almost all activities of the firm depend upon sales. Sales budget development. Why is it essential? It's the foundation of the entire budget. Every objective is achieved through sales budget. Almost all activities of the firm depend upon sales. If there is sales, then other activities are needed, else we don't need. If there is no sales, there is no need for the company. It must be closed down. And if there is an inaccurate sales forecast, entire budget becomes useless. We have the point. Now these points are right there on your scrap or rough paper. We just need to look at the point and just simply type it in. Everything you have written here would become the foundation of your paragraphs or the bullet points you will write. Sales budget is often regarded as the foundation of the entire budget. A firm attains its desired goal through sales. Almost all activities of firm are based upon sales. An inaccurate sales forecast can render the entire budgets useless. Right? So that's the point. Simply the point plan is the key. If you have the right point plan addressed to answer the questions required, you are done. Finished. One is over. Just this point plan is sufficient. And you of course can write around these points. Next question. Identify 4 factors that should be considered when preparing a sales forecast. Okay, it's very easy. Think about it and just jot down 4 or 5 points. Or 4 points sufficient. So I've listed many points. The sales budget should consider the current sales level. Just this word would be sufficient. General economic conditions, we can't ignore the current corona situation. This could affect your sales. You can't expect to sell what you sold last year. Keep this economic and industry conditions in mind. You can't ignore this. You are not operating in isolation. You are a part of a social setup. If the whole economy, the world global economy is in trouble, you will be in trouble as well. So general economic and industry conditions must be considered. Competition, competitors' action, you must be considered. Just like it was ignored that there is a competitor who is eating away your sales. You can't ignore his actions. Pricing policies. Have we reduced our prices? It would result in boost in sales. Increasing the price would result in lower sales. Pricing also. Credit policies directly affect your sales. If we have lenient credit policy, we give credit for up to 60 days or maybe 90 days, whereas the market average is 30, we should expect more sales. Conversely speaking, if our credit policies are strict, we collect our credit sales within 15 days, whereas the market average is 30, so we will have lower sales. And then advertisement directly affects your sales. Effective advertisement can boost your sales, right? And then unfilled back orders. All these, you don't have to write all these. You just have to select or just jot down 4 factors. Give what is needed. Don't overdo things. Please, just 4 points are sufficient. Writing extra point won't get you extra numbers or extra credit. Give what is needed. So just you need to write upon these 4 points and that would be sufficient. Right? Here you will just plot it down. So that was the questions, right? So just have to give these points in 2 or 3 lines. Every point can be explained. Do not overdo every point given here. Just need discussion for a couple of lines. 2 lines for this 2 and 8 lines, and you are done. You can now jump on to question number 3. Which 2 factors did management fail to consider in this scenario, and what was the impact? Yes, I'm sure you remember. The company failed to consider the competitor's action. Your competitors are gaining ground. They are eating away your sales. General economic conditions, you can't ignore them. So if you miss these vital pieces of information, what would be its impact? It said, which 2 factors did management fail to consider? This was the first part of the question. And what was the impact of these mistakes? Competitors' action was ignored. General economic conditions were ignored. Resultantly, missed sales. You produce more than what you could sell. And eventually, you have many items unsold laying in your inventory on which you are paying excessive storage cost. And these points, gentlemen and ladies, would be sufficient to answer comprehensively what is being asked and get full credit for that. So just these points and write around these points, khalas, finish. Don't overdo these 2 points and the impact upon these failures. Sufficient, right? Failed to consider competitors' action, general conditions, missed sales, overproduction, and these did not prepare the budgets in right order, and so on and so forth. Next, question number 4. Discuss authoritative and participative budgets and identify which type is described in scenario. We are convinced that in this situation, they have used authoritative or top-down approach, imposed budget. And please do not overdo things. Just give 3 to 4, or 3 would be sufficient. 3 characteristics of authoritative budget, 3 characteristics of participative budgets in 1 line, and then give what was the case in this company. Do not overdo things. I have overdone just for the sake of discussions, but you should stick to what is being required. So 3 points for authoritative budgets. It's a top-down approach. It's a top-down budgeting where the budget is imposed from the senior management. Second could be better decision making, because senior management is sitting at the top. They have a holistic view of the whole organization, so they can make a more balanced budget. and top management sets the overall goals. Hence, their budget will be in synchronization with the goals. There will be a compatibility between the strategic direction and the budgets, right? And there are certain drawbacks as well, because since budget has been imposed, it will lack commitment from the lower level managements. And since the budget is being forced upon the subordinate management, they might resent, they might refuse to cooperate, they might show a dysfunctional behavior, right? So they will resent. So these are the aspects we can discuss just in a couple of lines each. And then what about participative budgeting? Its opposite approach to authoritative. Authoritative is top down, participative is bottom up. In authoritative, no discussion has been made with the subordinate management, whereas in participative budgeting, it involves people, departmental heads, and they are the one who make the budget. It's a good communication device because all departments work in coherence in a coordinated fashion. And since the employees have set the budget themselves, there will be more employee commitment. They can relate themselves to the budget because they are the one who set the budget. But there are certain drawbacks as well. Since employees or subordinate management has been asked to develop the budget, they will deliberately include certain leniency for themselves. That's what you call padding, budgetary padding or budgetary slack. What is budgetary padding or slack? Overestimation of expenses and underestimation of revenues so as to make your target easily attainable. And the biggest issue, and I find this to be the major drawback of participative budgeting, that budget has been prepared by departmental heads and those managers may totally overlook the company's strategic direction. In which direction, on which disha we want to take our business to, that might be lost, right? So not in compliance with the strategy or the overall long-term strategic budget. So these are the, don't over discuss, just a couple or 3 points each would be sufficient with a little one problem or of both. And there is a third approach that is in between these two, authoritative and participative. There is an approach called combination approach. It involves senior management and subordinate management, and they make budget in a democratic style that is acceptable to both. So that was the overall, that was the point plan, gentlemen. And now you're going to type it in. Give brief about both the authoritative and participative, and do not forget to give the conclusion what you have identified, which type is described in the scenario. The company used authoritative budgeting as they did not talk to lower level managers, which may have helped them identify the new competitors and construction issues. The budget was just made and imposed. That tells us that it was authoritative budget. Done. Question 5. Identify and describe 2 best practice guidelines for the budget process. Best practice guidelines. How we can draw a budget. Do not overdo things. You have read the budgeting theory. Just point plan is needed. The first step is to form a budget committee that will manage the whole budgeting process. Formation of budget committee. If you have jotted down this point alone, budget committee, you will know what to write. Then the second phase is to develop the budget period. Is it for the quarter, for 6 months period, for the whole year? Budget period. Then there is a document that is drawn up to assist in the budgeting process called the budget manual. Specific guidelines for budget preparation, specification of budget guidelines. Then preparation of initial budget proposal. Who would initiate? It could be initiated by the top management to be deliberated upon by the subordinate management. It could initiate from the bottom up, depending upon which approach your company follows. Is it authoritative? It is participatory, or a combination approach? Once the budget has been proposed, there will be negotiations. And when you see more negotiation, it means it's a combination approach. Senior management and subordinate management, they are discussing, they are negotiating, settling what should be achieved. A common objective will be discovered, and then that will facilitate the budgeting process. Right? Once negotiations have been done, review, finally approval. Once the budget is approved, it is not something that cannot alter. Things change. And those changes in the external environment and economy, regulatory or regime must be embedded or must be reflected in the budgets. Budgets might need revision over the period. It's a very inappropriate approach to draw up the budget at the start of the period and wait till the end of the year and do not make any changes that have taken place in the economy over the last 1 year. That's not the right approach. Your budget should accommodate changes. That's why many companies have resorted to rolling budgets where they revise their budgets every month so that to keep it updated with the external economic and internal or industry situation. So budget revision is an essential part because budget is not something that will surely happen. It's what we plan, what we expect to happen. So if things are changing around you, those changes must be embedded in your budget, and this is done through budget revision. Right? Now, a little discussion on these, that a budget committee, at least one senior manager must be involved so as to make it look like a combination approach is good, but in some circumstances, authoritative approach could be suitable. So in case, let's say you have been given a scenario, the question asks, suggest a suitable budgeting approach. So we have three: authoritative, bottom-up, participatory, and a combination approach. Now let me tell you in which situation which you would recommend. If your economy is stable, there is no stiff competition, there is no unusual volatility in the economic environment, authoritative is the best. Your workers are unskilled, authoritative, top-down is the best. If there is too much volatility in the economy, local knowledge is very essential as an input in the budgeting process. You should go for participatory approach, which you call the bottom-up. You need the information from the ground zero where things are taking place, right? So there is more economic volatility. Action point knowledge is needed from your front line warriors or who are working for the company, your departmental managers or your zonal managers. You need to take input from them. That is participatory approach. And in between, when the economy is on average, not too much volatility, not too much stability, then you recommend a combination approach, right? So it's no one solution for everything. Your context will determine which approach you would suggest or is recommended. So budget committee will involve at least one senior manager. Based upon the guidelines, managers prepare initial budgets and discuss, negotiate, and then finally the budget is given to the superior. Ultimately, budget committee and the chief executive officer, he will be the one who will sign it off, and then the budget will finally become approved. And again, once it is approved, it's not the final dictum of God that this will happen. It can change with the economic environment is changing. So our budget should be flexible enough to accommodate changes that are occurring in the environment. That's an important point. So you can skip a few, but try to make sure give a balanced answer. Do not overdo things. That I'm emphasizing again and again, right? So this much could be written in this much. In 2 paragraphs, discuss the formation of budget committee, discuss these revisions, and finally the budget is approved by the CEO and the budget committee. Next, question number 5. Identify and describe 4 characteristics that define a successful budgeting process. Which budgeting process do you think is successful? Entirely up to your own understanding. What do you think the success of budgeting process could be? A good budget is the one that is accepted across all departments in the organization, across the company, right? That's the first feature. Second, budget must be drawn up taking the input from those for whom the budget is being set, so as they should feel the budget is personalized, it's for them. They should relate themselves to the budget. That's very essential. Ownership of budget must be encouraged by bringing in people for whom the budget is being set up. Their involvement to some extent, even if it is authorized, it's essential. They will be more committed to the budget through this personalization. Budget is a planning and control tool. It's not a pressure device. We don't want to force, you can't force anyone to do a job. It will only backfire in the long run. So it's a planning and coordinating tool. You need to make sure that it is bought in at all levels, and it should result in a sense of ownership and a sense and motivation for all. It's not a device to pressurize or coerce someone, rather it is to motivate our subordinate management so that the management and the senior management, the board, they can exert their efforts in the common direction for the success of the company. So you can discuss just 4 of these and do not go beyond 2 lines each characteristic. These are the 4 and just 2 lines for each would be sufficient, right? Because we have 7 questions to answer and we have got 30 minutes for each essay type. And that's overdone. I would say that is overdone. How much I would write? I would just write 2 for the first and 2, maybe just a total of 8 lines would be sufficient till this point here. Sufficient, right? Do not overdo. Last. Discuss the financial impact of excess inventory. If you hold higher inventory level, what are the financial impacts? The first impact would be you will have to pay storage cost. When you say storage cost, it means rent, insurance, inventory taxes. This is the first impact. It's a loss, of course. If you carry excess inventory, there is a risk that it might become obsolete, outdated, out of fashion. You may have to dump it later. Loss. Financial impact, loss. Financial impact, higher expenses, eventually loss. Third, when you have excess capacity, excess inventory in your warehouses, there is always threat of pilferage. What is pilferage? Your workers will steal the inventory because inventory is excess and it is not turning. It is laying there for long. There is a very much likelihood that it will. I have worked for many companies and I can say with conviction that in every company you will ever work for, there will always be pilferage to some extent. This is something that happens. People steal. When they find something valuable, they will take it away. So if you have excess inventory, so you are inviting your staff members to steal. That's a loss for the company. The financial impact is loss. And then cost of capital. You have invested $10 million in your stock or inventory. This money could have been put in some marketable security to earn interest. You have tied up your capital. It could have been used elsewhere. The interest that we have lost by buying inventory, we could have put it in a bank or we could have bought a marketable security. This lost interest, gentlemen and ladies, is called cost of capital. Storage cost is a loss. Goods going outdated is a loss. Goods getting stolen is a loss. And the money that has been tied up in the stock that doesn't sell, it's laying there for many months, it has caused your capital to get stuck. This stuck capital has a cost, opportunity cost, and this is a financial loss as well. And that ends your essay type 3. And that's how you can give it in bullet points, and it is sufficient. It is enough to get you the full credits.